This is Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
Vegas Rock Dog Radio. Pets, people, pop culture. Bring on the host, Sam, the queen of rock and roll dogs.
Hello everyone, I'm Sam, the queen of rock and roll dogs and the host of Vegas Rock Dog Radio. And today I'm talking about kittens, in particular the tiniest of kittens with Kitten Lady, Hannah Shaw. So stay right there.
Vegas Rock Dog Radio. Pets, people, pop culture.
Welcome to the show, everyone. I'm Sam, the queen of rock and roll dogs. And today on the show, we're not going to even talk about dogs. For once, we are not talking about dogs. But as you know, we love cats too. And that's going to be a big, big part of today's show. Thank you for being here. We love it when you listen in, because if we didn't have this audience, it would all be a bit ridiculous, wouldn't it, Jim?
It would be a little weird.
It would be a little ridiculous. Yeah. Now, of course, we've got a few places you can find us on the internet. So we're going to get through that very, very quickly so that we can come to our guest, and we've got a lot to talk about, and we like to get in depth with our guests, our desks. Hey, here we go. Flubs galore. Here we go. It seems to be the norm these days, doesn't it, Jim?
We got to do that greatest hits of your flubs one of these days.
There's plenty of them.
A couple hours of material.
There'll be albums worth of these flubs that we do. Anyway, so here we go. If a lot of you listen to us live on a Saturday, and that's usually at 10 a.m. PDT, and then you can catch the show later when we throw it up on iTunes and iHeartRadio. And if you find yourself with a podcast app and it's not any of those two, you'll still find the show. We're everywhere. Vegas Rock Dog Radio, because we are an international show. We have an international audience, and they all love animals. Our main website is vegasrockdogradio.com, and you'll see us on Periscope, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Tumblr, Instagram, of course. And we have a blog, and that is therockandrolldog.com. And we have an app, and the app is yap.us. Go to yap.us, yapp.us, and download it. It's free, and then you'll download our show onto your app, Vegas Rock Dog Radio. So we make it very easy for you to find us, whether you listen to us live or you listen to us on demand, which we kind of love that anyway. So that's where you can find us on the internet, and we're glad to have you today, because we do have a very, as you know, our guests are fantastic. Every guest we bring on is an expert in their field. And so when you listen to the show, you can go away having learnt so much from each of our guests. And today's going to be exactly that same thing, where we've got a fantastic expert. We're going to call her a rock star in the cat world. And there's a good reason why we should call these people rock stars, because, as you know, anyone that's a rock star in any field, it doesn't always have to be in entertainment. They have a big audience, and a big audience, you get to share a big message, and you get to make a big impact. And this is exactly what's happening with my guest today. She's changing the world for the tiniest of felines, and Hannah Shaw is a kitten rescuer, humane educator, and animal advocate who has dedicated her life to finding innovative ways to protect animals. And Hannah, are you there?
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
And thank you for being on the show. I'm very excited that we got you on the show, because I know you're in demand, and I love that you're in demand, because that means people are listening. and they want to learn more from you.
Thank you so much.
It's a great thing. So let's go straight into Kitten Lady. How did you get the name Kitten Lady? Did it come over time? Have you always been called that? Was it a recent moniker that was given to you?
That's a good question. So a lot of people ask, how do I get your job? How do I get to be the kitten lady? I'm like, most people don't get into animal advocacy on purpose. They get into it by accident, right? So that happened to me when I was really young. I cared a lot about animals. I've always been involved in animal advocacy on kind of a bigger scale, working with lots of different types of animal issues. As a teenager, I would, go to protests and get involved in activism. And then I started volunteering. And, after college, I decided this is really what I wanted to do as a career, is animal advocacy. But it wasn't until my early 20s that I started rescuing kittens. I actually found a kitten outside in a tree. And that was my intro to kittens. And I started looking for resources. I wanted to know, how do you take care of a kitten if you find a kitten outside? And I discovered there's really not that much out there in the way of education about what to do or resources for people who need somewhere to take these kittens. So it's just so interesting because, I started as like a animal advocate for all animals, farm animals and like circus animals, all sorts of different types of issues. And I always assumed that cats and especially kittens had it fine. What I discovered is that kittens are actually a really at-risk population because, if they're more than 8 weeks old, they go to the animal shelter and they have a great life and people adopt them. But if they're under 8 weeks old, those kittens can't be adopted from an animal shelter. So, if they go to the shelter, really the only hope they have is for someone to foster them. So a lot of people don't get involved in fostering because they don't know how to do it. And there's not a lot of information out there. So
you're right. You're right.
Yeah, I became the kitten lady because, I just kept rescuing kittens and kittens and kittens, and people call themselves a cat lady, and I say, well, I actually don't work with cats that much. I work with a lot of neonatal kittens, and I kind of created this project as a way to educate other people about how to do it and to show people how much fun and joy there is in rescuing kittens so that other people feel less intimidated about getting involved and more kittens can be saved.
Well, I do agree with you on it's almost like there's a gap there for those kittens, like you say, that are very, very young. A lot of shelters are not equipped for them and they are a very vulnerable population. So how do we bridge that gap? And that's what I think you've demonstrated is by getting involved. This is how we bridge that gap. It's, I don't know why people think it's so easy. I found a kitten, I'll take to the shelter. Oh, maybe you shouldn't. They're too young and they don't have the resources. They don't have the people. I mean, unless you're in my shelter in my hometown back in England, they have a maternity ward. They have isn't that amazing? It's kind of toasty warm.
That's actually happening now in the United States.
Good.
There are a couple shelters now that are, developing kitten nurseries, but you're right that for the most part, most animal shelters are not set up to care for kittens under 8 weeks old, especially those very, very young, unweaned kittens. And so, I think a lot of people, get really upset when they hear that and they blame the shelter, but you have to understand how difficult it is. When you're doing a high volume operation like an animal shelter, these people work so very hard around the clock, taking care of all of the city or county's animals, and they simply don't have the resources most of the time to do the intensive care involved in kittens. A lot of animal shelters, they have business hours and they're not there overnight. And these kittens, if there's not someone to care for them overnight, that's it for them. So that's really what it's all about is, helping people understand that, but doing it in a way that's fun. I always joke that life is not like the sad Sarah McLachlan ASPCA commercial, because people get so scared to get involved with this stuff because they think, oh my God, it's going to be so emotional. But I tell people, there's never been a problem with such a fun solution. Like a revolving door of kittens in your house. That sounds amazing.
You're doing something right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, when they leave.
It's a fun solution to a problem that is really, it really is a sad problem, but it's something that we can fix. We can do something about. So I just hope that people who follow along with my life, on social media, I kind of overshare everything I do so that people can see, hey, this is actually pretty fun. Maybe I could do that.
I think it's one of the best things you've ever done because, as you say, people could project it as, oh, it's so much hard work. I mean, you're not lying to anyone and saying, there isn't any work involved, but you are saying it can be really fun and you can change your life. And, you get them in a home and then you want to do it again and just continue saving these lives. And I just think if we get more people involved, and I just had a friend who's fostering her very first kitten. I said, I said, you need to come to Hannah's class. She goes, yeah, I probably do because I probably don't know what I'm doing, is what she said. At least she was honest.
That's the fun thing about kitten rescuing is people say, oh, you're an expert on kittens. And I say, no, I just have a couple years under my belt, but we're all learning together.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no rule book for this stuff. We all learn through experience and through community. So that's why I love these events because, there are lots of people who come out with varying degrees of experience. Some people who have never even thought about fostering kittens, some people who are kind of kitten curious. And then you have people who come to the workshops who teach me things, and we all kind of are able to learn together. And it's all, for the greater good of the kittens. I really liked what you were saying about, kind of bridging that gap. That's something I've been trying to help people understand because a lot of people are scared to get involved because they don't want to give the kittens up.
Yeah.
They're like, if I foster, I won't want to give them up. But what I've been saying lately is, fostering is basically, it's helping someone cross the street, right? It's like, they're on one side of the street. They need to get to the other side of the street. And it doesn't actually take that much to get them there. We just, we got to help them cross the street. Once they get to the other side, they go to their adoptive home. You say goodbye. You get to take a breath.
Yes.
Feel good about yourself. And you get lots of fun photos and memories from it. And then when you're ready, you dive back in and, there's so much good that we can do for animals just by, allowing ourselves that experience.
Well, I know you always say goodbye is the goal. And if you have that in your mind first, I mean, it's not to say you're not going to be emotional about it. You become attached in a heartbeat, don't you? I mean, you just do. What kind of advice would you give anyone that says, oh my gosh, how am I going to handle saying goodbye? Even though I know that is the goal. What kind of tips can you give them?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it is about going into it with the right attitude. People who kind of approach rescue work like, oh, I'm not going to be able to give them up. I tell people, that's more thinking about your needs and not their needs. So they don't need you to keep them. They just need you to keep them alive, right?
Yes.
So keep them alive, and then focus on your goal and think of it as a loving thing. I mean, I think it's really interesting how certainly in American culture, we sort of think if we love someone, we have to own them, right? And I'm like, love is not about ownership. You can what's that old adage? If you love something, let it go. So thinking about goal-oriented rescue work, it is a really loving gesture.
Yes.
You're saying to that kitten, I have prepared you for this. I am so happy for you. We got you to the other side. And that's why the best advice I have for people is, kind of trick yourself into looking at it as a celebration. If you go into it saying, this is going to be the saddest day, then you're going to be sad. But I approach it like a celebration. I say, we're having an adoption party.
Oh,
I put a party hat on them and say, it's a party. You did it, man. It's, you achieved this goal.
It's a brilliant, it's a brilliant way to approach it. It really is. And it just feels lighter and happier. And I thought what was important, what you were saying earlier, was you get to then take a deep breath and relax and then decide when the next one comes in. So you have a degree of control over that. And I think that's what can make fostering so pleasurable. Of course, I'm involved with many, many rescues, particularly here in Vegas. And I do see the burnout. And that's something I want to talk about as well. That compassionate care burnout. It happened to a friend of mine. She ended up having a breakdown. No one can do it better than me. Oh, I can't rely on anybody else. She kept taking more and more in. And I started seeing these changes, which was becoming withdrawn, not wanting to socialize with anyone. It became really difficult. And I probably saw that happen over a period of a year. Tried really hard, please take a break. We can handle everything. Don't worry about it, and it just never got to that point. Unfortunately, it did lead to some kind of a breakdown. And I do think it's a part of foster that you're not being a hero by persevering through that, because it's too much on you. You're not giving your best to the animals anyway.
Right.
It affects you, your family, your friends, your community. What kind of tips can you give for someone who feels they might be getting to that point, or to prevent them from getting to that point? That's the better scenario.
Yeah, so I love everything you just said. It's so important. In fact, my booklet that I pass out about how to take care of orphan kittens, and the talks that I give, lectures about how to take care of kittens, everything I teach has a section on sustainability, self-care, and compassion fatigue, because it is part of it, and it's something that I think first and foremost we have to talk about so that people understand that that's something that can happen. Compassion fatigue is a form of secondary PTSD. So it's when, you witness suffering of somebody else, and it becomes a lot to bear. And I can say, as somebody who's been doing this for a long time, I've gone through periods where it's been very hard for me to continue. And that's when I tell myself, I need to take a break. And it's so helpful. Again, it's about the way you frame things. So, framing break taking and framing self-care as a really important part of animal care is how I think people can approach this. So saying, if you are feeding kittens all day, did you eat a granola bar? Did you drink some water?
Did you feed yourself?
If you are letting the kittens take a nap, are you getting enough sleep? Like, asking for help, making sure you have your basic needs met. I think one of the great gifts that rescue does for us, or at least for me, is that, it makes us have to take better care of ourselves, because we have to be right in order to be there for the animals.
That's right. And I think if we can parallel what we do for them, then we do it for ourselves, then you should be able to keep yourself fairly on track. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. And then, of course, taking breaks is so important, because I hate the old phrase people say, you can't save them all. And, I reject that. I think
me too.
Save them all. I think we can save them all. But I think one person cannot save them all in their house, in their bedroom. It takes community. And in order for us to have that community and to have a healthy community, we all have to be taking care of ourselves. And so some of my tips are, talking to other people about it, knowing that you're not alone if you're feeling, depressed or overburdened, asking for nights off. I mean, there are nights. Last year, I remember there was this night where I had been caring for little tiny bottle babies for months, and I hadn't had a single night to myself. And I called a friend and was like, I just want to go do something fun. The fair was in town, and I was like, I just want to go on a Ferris wheel for a minute. And she was like, bring him over. Again, never have there been problems with easier solutions and more fun ones. Your friend gets to help you out. That's great. She gets to bottle feed babies. I got to go on a Ferris wheel. I felt so rejuvenated after that.
And that's what it took.
Advocating for myself to be sometimes I need to step away, and that's okay.
I think what I'd like to see pop up in in town, and I don't think we have one available, and I kind of usually know if there's something like this around, but a support group, I think, for rescuers would be a wonderful thing. A once a month meeting in a coffee shop, or over cocktails, to share and say, real. Oh, you feel the same way. Oh gosh, thank goodness. What we can do about ourselves? Can we keep ourselves on track, helping each other a little bit? Can we, an accountability thing? Did you get a nap? Did you get to eat today? Kind of thing.
Yeah, totally. No, I really like that. And I mean, I think, there are a lot of pieces to this. Some of us experience grief when we're, working with kittens who unfortunately sometimes cannot make it, no matter how hard we try. And those are things that are very hard for people to deal with. And, I know in the cat world, at least, a lot of people who are involved in cats are very, introverted or insular types of people who maybe aren't getting out there in the community and talking to other people. That's why I love these events that are focused on bringing cat people together, giving us other people to connect with. I think the internet is a great place for people to connect, and I've found so much community that way.
Yeah.
Just to have shared experiences with someone and say hey, I'm feeling this way. How do you deal with it? And have some support, because, when I think about years ago, 5 or 6 years ago, when I was maybe taking on too much and how I could have burned myself out, I'm so glad that I managed to kind of armor myself with some protection against burnout so that I've been able to continue on. Because what happens is if you armor yourself and you have a self-care plan and you take care of yourself and you advocate for yourself, in the long run, you're able to not only save so many more lives, but to do it in a way more effective way because we grow every year. Every year, I know something I didn't know the year before. Yeah. So I got to stick around because I want to know in 10 years what I'm going to be able to know then that I don't know now, but I have to be right in order to get there.
I totally agree with you on that because, as I say, tons of my friends are fosters and run rescues, own rescues, you name it, they've got it going on. And it's that, take time out, have friends that you can lean on. Like you say, if it's only for an hour, let me go on the Ferris wheel or whatever I need to do so that I can have this little break so that I can continue the work. And then because you don't want to sap out the fun part of it because you could quite easily and very quickly do that. And then what if you end up just not fostering anymore? You're just over it because I just did this to myself. But I think it's wonderful that you have that as every component of your events. And I'm hoping I'm rattling some cages in Vegas this week anyway. Like, you are coming, aren't you? I expect to see you there.
Yeah, my flight leaves in the morning and I'm actually going to be working with the Animal Foundation and Best Friends for most of the week. So I am really proud to be partnering with Best Friends. They are, if people don't know about Best Friends, Animal Society, they're one of my favorite nonprofits in the world. They're doing great no-kill advocacy on behalf of cats and dogs. And of course, in this case, we're advocating for kittens in shelters. So I'm proud they brought me out to work with them and the Animal Foundation with their staff. So I'll be doing that for a few days. And then we said, hey, this is such a great opportunity to get the public involved in Vegas because, Vegas, I'm sure is very warm. And it's kitten season all the time. It's kitten season all the time. You guys don't have, an off season for kittens. So
it's ridiculous.
Needed all the time.
It'll be the single best move, I'm telling you now, that the Animal Foundation does, because as you and I know, those euthanization rates are very, very high in shelters. In particular, like you were saying, they come in too young, they don't have the resources. Now, you say neonatal kittens. What would you describe exactly as neonatal for anyone that's never even heard that term before?
Right. So neonatal kitten just means a newborn kitten. And usually the most vulnerable kittens in animal shelters are going to be those who are, between 0 and 5 weeks old when they are not able to feed themselves because it's a lot easier to take care of a kitten if you can put them in a kennel with food. Yeah. Those who are not able to feed themselves, hopefully they have a mom. That can be something people can get involved with too, is taking care of moms and babies. But one of the big messages that I try to share is that, kittens that are dying in animal shelters, they are typically not coming in from, members of the public who bring in kittens. They're coming in from outside, and a lot of them are coming in because people pick them up outside thinking they were abandoned, but they're not usually abandoned. They're usually actually born to community cats that live outside that have not been sterilized. Yeah. People find them and they say, oh, some bad person dumped a kitten out here. I'm going to pick them up and help them by bringing them to the animal shelter. But what they're doing is they're taking them away from their mom, and the animal shelter can't help them. So, that's one thing that I'm excited to be working with the Animal Foundation on is kind of, helping with some strategies to reunite those kittens with the moms so that they can stay together. But those kittens that do make it into the shelter that are orphaned, that is kind of my bread and butter. So I focus on the most vulnerable felines, which is those little orphans that come in, no mom, they can't feed themselves, and, people are very intimidated to get involved in caring for them. So unfortunately, they're time stamped. And that's just the reality of it. Is if nobody's able to care for them, then nobody's able to care for them. But it is so fun to care for them. It's like, it gives my life so much joy. And I have, 500,000 people watching me on the internet every day saying, oh my God, I wish I could do what you do. And I'm like, you can. Like, anybody can do this. There's so many perceived obstacles to fostering. A lot of people think, oh, I can't do that because, right? And so my work is all about helping people see, no, that's not a real barrier. People say, oh, I couldn't do it because I don't have enough money. I'm like, well, the shelter pays for your medical bills, and they often provide supplies. Oh, well, I don't have enough space. I'm like, have you seen kittens? They're really small. They don't need much space.
They need
Like,
nothing.
I have a kitten right now that I just picked up yesterday.
I
His
just
name's
read the text that you
Numpkin.
posted.
So Numpkin is like a 3-week-old kitten, and right now he's in like a plastic bin on my like coffee table.
Right.
And so I'm like, if you have space for a coffee table, you have space to foster
You
kittens.
do. He's not asking for a whole bedroom in the house, Yeah,
exactly. That would be very luxurious.
I love how they
weigh a pound.
I love how the conversation went on that text about Numpkin. It's very funny.
Oh, yeah.
And it was just like, it's very quick. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, Numpkin's coming round.
Yeah. So for people who maybe didn't see that, what happened was yesterday, I was, it was early in the morning, and my friend texted me and said, someone just dumped a little baby kitten on my porch in a box. I don't know what to do. Could you take him? And she sent me a picture, and I was like, oh God. And, I am traveling a lot. Like I said, I'm going to be in Vegas this week. So my boyfriend, who's amazing, Andrew, is, he's on duty when I'm not here. So I was like, well, let me wake up Andrew and see, if he would be willing to help this week. So I tapped him on the shoulder and I said, Andrew, do you want to get this kitten? And I showed him the photo, and he like rubbed his eyes, looked at the photo and said, he's a Numpkin, and then fell back asleep. And I was like, I'm going to take that as a yes, and I'm going to name him Numpkin. So that's how we got Numpkin.
I think it was great to post that, because I think it just shows your commitment, to these kittens when they come in. And clearly your friend, whoever dumped the kitten with your friend was like, oh yeah, that's Hannah Shaw's friend. Dump it at her house. It'll get taken care of.
There's a lot of people who are like cat advocates in my neighborhood, and she's an awesome cat advocate who posts all the time on her neighborhood listserv, like, hey, I'm going to be trapping feral cats or whatever it is. So people kind of knew that she's a cat person, but it's kind of, I was like, I wish that person had just knocked and talked with her, because we didn't know anything about this kitten, because, we don't know what he was fed. We don't know how long he had been with this person. Like, we didn't know anything about his care or where he came from. Maybe we would have been able to reconnect him with his mom. But, but that's what happens a lot of the time when we get these kittens. People go, well, where's the mom? I'm like, well, by the time they're with me, they're so far removed from where they came from.
Right.
Usually it's like a person finds them and gives them to someone else, and then they freak out and they bring them to the vet, and then the vet's like, well, we don't have anyone to take care of him, and they call animal control. It's like these kittens really quickly get in a very dangerous place. The best thing to do if you find a kitten outside is to wait and see if the mom returns, because no one's better at taking care of a kitten than the mom.
Right.
And, of course, if they are age that they can be weaned, then that's a different story. Then you can, take them and put them in a foster program or adopt them. But a kitten that's, so little that they can't eat on their own, we really want to keep those guys with their moms.
Absolutely. And it's funny because I've noticed a very big difference between, like you see, how people, they see a kitten out on the street or a cat and they start panicking. England, so many cats are outdoor cats. I think, why are people panicking? This is so weird. It could just be an outdoor cat.
Right. And I tell people that is the original way to be a cat. I mean,
yes, that's how they live.
Cats have only been like considered indoor pets since like the 60s. That's when cat litter became popularized. And invented until the 40s. So, when people say, oh my God, it's so sad when there's cats outside. I mean, I agree. We should be sterilizing the cats that are outdoors, because, there are so many kittens being born on the streets. But these cats can have fantastic lives outside. They're really, really well equipped for life outdoors. In fact, I mean, they're in the middle of being domesticated, but I don't know if you ever hang out with cats, but they don't need us.
No.
They're very happy
exactly.
to live their lives independently. So, that's a big part of it too, is helping people see the connection, not just with bringing in kittens, but also the connection to things like trap, neuter, return, which I'm a huge advocate for.
Yes.
Something that we all could be getting involved in. And that would make such a huge difference for the kittens too. So I know in Las Vegas, there are some really great groups that are doing work.
C5. Have you heard of C5?
Yeah. I know them, and I have a friend who's really involved with them. And I know Best Friends is involved with TNR there, and is really ramping up efforts there for TNR and for kittens. And so, this I say is like the final frontier of animal sheltering. Like, we are getting really close to no kill in America for, for dogs. We're getting really close for cats who are, of an adoptable age, but it's those unadoptable populations, the feral cats and the kittens under 8 weeks old. Those are the ones that we really have to focus on. So that's where I've chosen to focus my efforts. And it's so much fun. And I think if people could just see how much fun it is to stake out a feral cat colony at night and, do some trapping or raise a bottle baby in your home.
Yeah.
This stuff is so fun. It gives so much joy and purpose to a person's life. I mean, a lot of people have said to me, thank you, not just for helping me get involved in this, but for helping me have a sense of purpose. Yes. There are a lot of people who, we all work jobs we don't like or feel kind of lost in the world. And I have a lot of people who have thanked me saying, doing this has made my life so full. And it is, because you get to give this incredible gift to them. You get to give them a chance. That's the only chance they have. I mean, it really is a powerful, powerful thing to get involved with.
I think I've always said this because I've always done charitable work, mainly for animals, because that's what I love, But the thing is I always tell people, if you don't feel good about yourself or you feel like you've got nothing going on, go and volunteer, because it will change. Get out of yourself and start doing something else for others that you are not expecting any rewards. I mean, there are those unexpected rewards once you start doing this, but you'll always feel so much better about yourself. And I think it shows a lot about your character. And it's sometimes, rescuing can come a little bit like, potato chips. You can't just have one, I love it. I'm doing the next one. I have a friend who, I'm friends with every entertainer and magician and musician in this town, but a magician friend of mine and his wife, who's his assistant. Oh, wow. I swear, if they're not careful, that house might turn into a zoo. But kittens are her big thing. And they were performing at one of my charity events. Well, actually, her husband was. And she said, he's going to do the illusions and everything. I'm just bringing the kitten with me because I'm not leaving the kitten at home. So he's coming with me. She bottle fed the kitten backstage. And she just took the kitten with her. And I love that about her. I just thought she's just fantastic. She goes, yeah, I take this seriously. They come with me. That's that,
and that's how it is. You can take them with you. People say, oh, I wish I could foster, but, I work. And I'm like, who doesn't work? That sounds nice.
Exactly.
We're all busy, but, your life doesn't have to stop for theirs to continue. I mean, they can come with you as long as their environment remains relatively the same. So they're in, a safe little cocoon. I have, a bag that I bring them with me in. It's ventilated, covered, so they're not going to be exposed to the climate out there, and they, as long as they still receive the same care, they can come with you. I have kittens with me that, come to all sorts of places. There's no one busier than me. I'm traveling all the time, but I always find a way to make it work.
Well, I think the
other great thing is that you can always have people help you out.
Yes.
So.
I mean, you're a good example of that. I think we're very similar, as in we don't take any excuses and I don't take any prisoners at all. I always say the minute you say one excuse, it will never happen. So that's why I believe with the no kill. I mean, people want to say, well, you've got to be practical. I said, no, if you don't have a foundation of you can do this is going to happen, it will never work. If you don't start with, and I think every rescue and every shelter has to have that as their foundation. And someone said to me, but there can't possibly be enough homes for them. I said, okay. So I said in my head, did some quick mathematics. Yeah, Vegas. I'm like, okay, we're 2.25 million people here. Our shelter brings in, 55,000 animals a year. I think it's around about that much now. They adopt out, generally most homes, in the United States, 69% of homes have animals. Okay. So I did all this whole calculation. I'm like, okay. So that means we've still got a good 750,000 homes without animals in them. I think we've got plenty because 55,000.
Well, see, and that's good. You're crunching numbers, and that's what we need. We need people who can be, strategic. I think that for a long time, people have considered cat ladies to be crazy and unhinged. and we're going to collect all the cats. And I say, no way. Like the modern day cat lady, I think for me is somebody who is very strategic, somebody who is crunching those numbers, trying to solve problems. And, this is why I love being involved with Best Friends, who is the organization that invited me out to Vegas, because they, unlike that, sad, we can't save them all message, their tagline is, save them all. And I love it. Whenever I go to their events and I see that, save them all, I'm like, yes. And it puts that fire in your gut, right? Because that's what we need. If we go into it saying, I don't know if I can do it, then you can't do it. You can only do what you believe you can do, right? That's the very first step, is believing you can do it. So I really, truly believe we will get to no kill. I mean, the goal is to get the nation to no kill by 2025. And I think that we can do it. We're in a really good space for that. And, the gap that I'm trying to close, my tiny contribution to that is kittens. I really believe this is going to be, the final thing for us to figure out as a community of animal lovers. But, the faster we can get people to see, hey, this is fun. Yeah. I have a buddy with a YouTube channel who can show me how to do all of it. I mean, that's what I try to be. I try to be everybody's friend that they can go to. My website, kittenlady.org, has lots of resources on it to teach people, hey, what can you do if you have a kitten that, isn't eating right, or, what kind of supplies do I need, or what do I do about helping them go to the bathroom? All that stuff is there for people so that, we all feel like we can do it. And, anybody can just try one. Like you said, try once, and then, it's like potato chips. You can't stop doing it.
Exactly. Well, on that note, we're going to take a quick break, because when we come back, I want to talk about kitten wraps, photography, and all the other fun stuff that happens on your social media to give this great idea of how fun the modern cat lady is. And we're going to talk about some of those really fun things, and your boyfriend and his phenomenal photography. I'm so jealous. I mean, Jim has a hard time getting me a sharp picture. I mean, usually I look like Bigfoot or blurry on every picture he takes for me, so you're very fortunate. But hang on there, we're just going to run a couple of commercials, because this is a really fun thing that a lot of people don't know about you, which is the kitten wraps. Oh my gosh, did I love them. But hang tight, we'll be right back. You're listening to Vegas Rock Dog Radio with me, Sam, your host, the Queen of Rock and Roll Dogs. We'll be right back with Hannah Shaw, the Kitten Lady.
Vegas Rock Dog Radio. Pets, people, pop culture.
Not pumped about cleaning the litter box? Try World's Best Cat Litter Zero Mess, the litter that gives you 2 times better clumping and more odor control with less litter. That's right. You scoop once and you're done. No chiseling, no scraping, no crumbling, no problem. Looking for fast and easy litter box cleanup? Zero Mess. Try it. You're welcome in advance. Save $2 on World's Best Cat Litter. Visit www.saveonworldsbest.com.
Begging to hear more of your favorite show? Full episodes of all our shows are available on demand. Go to PetLifeRadio.com to fetch our entire lineup of Possum Pet podcasts. Also, dig us up in iHeartRadio and iTunes. Let's talk pets. Live and on demand, only from Pet Life Radio.
Let's Talk Pets on PetLifeRadio.com.
Vegas Rock Dog Radio. Pets, people, pop culture.
Hello everyone, we're back, and we're back with Hannah Shaw. She's the Kitten Lady, and if you don't know her, oh my gosh, you will. It will only be a matter of time until you see her pop up on your social media, and social media is such a massive part of what she does. Are you still there with us, Hannah?
I am.
Yay! Well, one thing I will say, you are definitely busting that stereotype of the crazy cat lady, where people didn't want to be that cat lady to now, I want to be the kitten lady. It's going to be a thing. I'm going to become a kitten lady. Did you know that?
That's the goal, is self-replication, because I can't do it all alone. So, it's funny. I mean, I will say, I think of myself as such a nerd, and a lot of people are like, oh, but you're making cat ladies cool. I'm like, hey, if you think I'm cool, then that's great news to me.
I love your look. I love your tattoos. I love how you dress. I love the little paper crowns that the kittens get. I just love all of that, because you and I know being visual, being visible is so important no matter what we're doing. It doesn't matter whether you're trying to sell a pet product or you're fostering. how do we get noticed? And you've definitely done this. As I say, I just love your look. I love the promo photo that was sent to me, and you're just laughing and you're feeding that kitten on your lap. It's like the greatest thing ever. I want to be her when I grow up. And what I do like, is that I know who you are. I know what you do. And what I don't like, and I see in most rescues, I will say here in Vegas, is anonymity. And I do not like to know. I look and I go, okay, who's running this rescue? I don't know who's running this rescue. I have no idea. And then someone might friend me from a rescue, but their profile picture is picture of a kitten or a cat or whatever, a dog. And I still don't know who you are. And I cannot stand that. It makes me insane. Now, I'm on a board of a 501c3. I'm saying on the board, which I hate saying that because it implies you don't do any work. But it's actually me and my friend Pam. We do all the work, and we raise money to take the financial pressure off the rescues. So we do some of the most fun rock and roll events you can imagine. So we've done the 80s hairball. We've got our rock and roll, Rockin' the Rough golf tournament coming up in October. And so we help all these rescues. So I'm very familiar with many of them, but a lot of them, I'm like, please, can you just put your face on your profile? And once in a while, show us who you are. Show us who your fosters are. Show some videos with some tips and that kind of thing. Please do some Facebook Live at your adoption events, please. I can't say enough to them about that, being visual. And I think what you've done is you're a perfect example of what I would love all rescues to do. I mean, a perfect example, which is
thank you.
Brilliant visuals, very helpful videos. I've looked at them all, Hannah. I've looked at every single one of them. I've learned a lot. I've never had cats. Jim's allergic. He says he thinks he's growing out of it. So that's a good thing. But I've looked at every video. Like the resources are there. The fun merchandise is there. Oh my gosh. So much fun supporting what you do. I just feel like you've got it down. And then the kitten wraps, wrapping for kittens. Oh my gosh. I think you need to bring an album out. I really do.
Well, so what I'll say is I have made myself very vulnerable by,
you do though, don't you?
Accidentally, because I didn't go into this going, hey, I'm going to have 500,000 people watch what I do. I just was really lucky to have more and more people kind of snowball and find out about what I do. And it's grown crazy over the last 2 years.
I know.
Which is awesome. But it also means oh my God, all these people are looking at, my boyfriend will go live from our house and I'll be watching his live video and I'll be like, oh my God, our living room is kind of messy right now. And it's oh my God, but I'm sorry, that's life. And it's really fun to be able to share hey, this is who I am. I'm kind of weird. I'm kind of a dork. I make up stupid rhymes about my cats. But
so
what I find
though.
out is that I'm not alone in that. Whenever I post a rap that I do for kittens, people go, oh my God, I'm not the only one who sings to my cat. I'm yeah, I mean, if you don't make up funny songs for your cats, what are you doing?
Yeah,
I do it all day. So, I think one of my friends said to me once, she was what I love is that things that other people do in private, you're willing to do in public.
I love that about you, honestly. Well, I do. Because you know what? I think there's more effort in not showing who you are, trying to, craft this image that may not be, fully you. I'm I don't have time for that.
It is really interesting though, because I feel very vulnerable. I feel very strong because I'm very strong in who I am and I'm very, comfortable with who I am, but it also is oh my God, it just leaves people out there to comment on everything. So it is really a interesting little rope to walk of, trying to make sure that everybody feels properly educated about what I'm discussing and kind of understands who I am and where I'm coming from. Of course, there's always going to be people who sort of don't get it and say, oh, it looks like you're squeezing the kitten in that photo.
Oh my gosh.
Stuff like that. But I try to focus more on the positive and say, hey, it helps people to see a real person being hey, this is how it really works. And some of my favorite people to follow, there's a woman I love following named Caitlin who runs an organization called Rancho Relaxo, and she runs this farm animal protection organization, and she's so fun to follow online because she is, first of all, she's a riot. She's so funny. She sings to her goats and she talks to her horse named Britney Spears and And then, but she also cries in her videos, and she talks about really hard stuff, and you feel like she's like your best friend. So when I actually met her, I was like, oh my God, you're like my hero.
Yeah.
Like, I love following her. And, you know, I'm very fortunate that people say things like that to me, and I'm like, I am myself, so it's harder for me to see myself. But, you know, watching her and how brave and open she is, it really, it encourages me and reminds me to keep being real and open and allowing people to see that vulnerability, because, you know, I think it helps us process our own stuff when we're able to see, hey, like, you know, I'm not alone, and it's really cool to be able to have these sort of raw experiences.
Yeah, I think so too.
The raps are a funny thing that kind of happened by mistake. I never intended to be like a rapper, but what happened was I made a stupid like 30-second rap video of me with a little kitten when my boyfriend and I first started dating. And he was like, that's funny. And I said, well, maybe people would want to see it. I'll just post it. And it went like totally viral. People were like, oh my God, rapping about kittens. And now there are like little kids that come up to me at my events, and they know all the words, all the raps. And I'm like, this is so funny. Like, you just put it out there, not even thinking anybody's really going to see it.
I mean, that's a true viral.
Now I've done probably like 8 or 9 raps for my kittens, and you know, people demand them now. When's Numpkin gonna get a rap? I'm like, oh, hang on, he just got here.
I just got him. For goodness sake, let me get my creative juices flowing.
It's fun.
It's becoming a thing. And you know, this is what I like about this kind of thing, when you just be yourself and something happens and then it goes viral. It's fantastic. It's not contrived. It's not planned. You know, you're not trying to get people to like it and share it. You know, you're like, this is just what happened. And then,
I had people tell me, hey, like, if you get a better microphone or if you like make a music video, I'm like, no, I do this like basically in my underwear in my bedroom. Like the one that I did the other day, I was in the bathtub and I thought it up and I was like, oh my God, I have to, and I got out of the bath and I was like, Andrew, I have to rap this thing right now. It's so funny. And I did it, and you know, it's not perfect, but it's funny.
It's
like,
funny. And people go,
it was funny.
They go, Hannah's new rap sound. I've been waiting for it to drop.
Yeah, I wish I could say I put a lot of thought into these things, but most of the time it is like I'm in the bathtub.
What a brilliant way to grow an audience too, with, you know, very inadvertently growing an audience. If that gets shared, they go, who is this lady with the teeny kittens? And then they look more into it, and before you know it, that audience is growing. And it's funny because some people are weird about people that become so popular no matter what they do. And they say, oh, why is it they always focus on celebrities, for example, who are doing things with animals? And I go, no, I think it's fantastic. They're a huge audience and get the message out there. I think it's brilliant. Don't knock them. You know, we all hope for that, you know, that we can actually just share our message to a much bigger audience. So don't knock that, for goodness sake. No, I think it's great. If you've got a big audience, you're a celebrity, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, it's a great platform, especially when you're doing good. So, you know, it's just that's a funny mentality, I think. Anyway, now I want to talk about visuals because, of course, I mean, seriously, if you had greeting cards and stuff like that, I'd be buying all of them, Hannah. Honest to God, with those kittens, they're so fantastic. How did you and Andrew meet? How did this two amazing people like collide and then make things even better?
Well, I'll say I am so just blown away by Andrew, and as a person, as a photographer, as a cat caregiver, he is everything I could ever wish for in a person. And I think that, you know, people have a lot of fun being like, oh, hashtag relationship goals online, but I'm like, no, for real though, like I'm almost like jealous of myself. I'm like, that's so cool. Wait, that's me. I get to do that. We have so much fun together. So the way that we met was really kind of funny and bizarre and perfect. I was raising these 2 kittens, Bruno and Boop, and Bruno had come from like a hoarding situation, and he had this big abscess, and they didn't know who his mom was. He was only 2 days old. Very sad. And then a couple days later, I got Boop, who was found in the trash. So I had been raising these 2 orphans separately, and I was planning on introducing them to each other. And I had been talking to people about that, and someone said, oh, you should talk to this cat photographer who, you know, lives in Philly. I live in DC. She said, maybe, my friend said, maybe he would like come down and take photos of them meeting. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. So I looked him up and I was like, wow, this guy's photos are really great. And I kept scrolling and I was like, laughing. His photos are so funny and so unique.
They are
unique. Then I saw a picture of him and I was like, hang on, what? I was like, who's this like hot dude that's really talented and loves cats? I was like, what is going on? So I instantly, I looked him up on Facebook and I friend requested him and he immediately accepted. I was like, oh, and then I messaged him and I was like, hey, I have this project, whatever. And I have these kittens. And he said, oh yeah, I follow you. And I was like, oh, you do? And he was like, yeah, I love what you do. And I was like, well, Bruno and Boop are going to be meeting each other soon. Would you want to photograph them? And he was like, are you kidding? That sounds amazing.
Oh my gosh.
So literally these two kittens who came from the trash and a hoarding home, they fell in love with each other in foster care with me. And the time that they met was the time that me and Andrew met to kind of capture it.
I love the whole story.
He came down and I thought he was cute, but I wasn't trying to, get a boyfriend. I was just like, oh, he's really cute. And we connected on so many levels beyond cats. I couldn't believe how much we had in common. And we just couldn't stop talking. And after that, this is pretty funny too. So the second time that we spent time together was the following weekend. I was supposed to be going on another date the next weekend. And I was like, okay, I either can go on this date or Andrew had invited me to be his +1 to this VIP event for the movie Keanu, which is about a kitten rescue.
Yeah.
It was the Key and Peele movie. And it was Jordan Peele was going to be there and Method Man was going to be there and all these kittens in gold chains. And he was hired to go there and take photos of it. And I was like, wait a minute, I can either go on a date with some lame dude or I can go to this crazy kitten VIP event. I was like, life with this guy seems so fun. And so I said, I'm coming up. And I went and we've, been together ever since. And we have so much fun. And, we do a lot of cat related stuff together. We go to a lot of the conventions together. We travel and get to visit famous cat sites and cat islands. And, help different animal shelters together, do fundraisers together. So I try to support his work and be his hype man as best as I can. And he is such a support for me. So it's
perfection.
Cool.
And I think that leads to what's let me get the name right. Munai Michi. Mm-hmm. Your Peruvian cat. You're on your travels.
You said it right. A lot of people say it wrong.
I'm used to so many people get my name wrong that I'm I make sure I get everybody else's right.
Yeah.
That was the most amazing Facebook Live adventure I think I've ever watched. I kept tuning in and going to say, is there something new? Is there something new coming up? It was amazing. And I think to think you're in Peru, you're traveling, and you come across this kitten and the goal was to get the kitten back to the States. So tell everyone how that went down.
Was crazy because we were in Peru for 2 weeks and I always joke that, I have to leave the country to stop working because I never stop working when I'm here. So we were like, all right, we're going to take this great adventure. We went and we had a great time. We hiked and we saw all these beautiful sights. We went in the jungle. So for 2 weeks, we're doing all that. And it was so nice. And our trip was wrapping up. The last day we were going to Machu Picchu. So our last day there, we went to Machu Picchu. We came down from the mountain. We found a kitten who was covered in fleas, totally emaciated, had dreadlocks. I mean, she was so dirty, she literally had dreads. And we were like, okay, we're in a country where for as many things as we need to solve with shelters in the United States, at least we have shelters. Yeah. In Peru, there are no shelters. So we were like, we can't even take her anywhere. The options are to leave this starving, dreadlocked kitten on the street down the mountain from Machu Picchu, or we can, I don't know, try to figure something out. But we were about to get on a train. So Andrew was actually the one who was like, maybe we can take her back to the United States. And I was like,
I love him.
Are you crazy? I love it. I was like, let's try. So we spent the whole night taking this long train and then a van through the mountains and then getting to this Airbnb where we had to pretend we didn't have a kitten with us. And then we had to run to the convenience store, and neither of us speak Spanish, so we're trying so hard to buy cat food and get all the stuff we need. we got her a plane ticket. We got her all her vaccines by the next morning. And we could not believe what we were able to achieve by bringing her back to the United States. So that is exactly what we were talking about before. It's about the attitude you have going into it. Yeah. So, if we went into that we'll never get her back to the United States, we certainly wouldn't have. The only reason we did was because we were crazy enough to think we could,
And if anyone gives you an excuse, you go, no, hang on a minute here. I brought a cat from Peru. So what's your excuse? Really? Here's an extreme example. But what a great example of community. I know you have people saying, oh, I've got an aunt that lives here, or so-and-so knows their vet, and I think you can get a health certificate from this person. I mean, you had to navigate something, never having done it that way before.
It was really cool. What I did was because we didn't even have phone plans in Peru. We could only use phones on Wi-Fi. So I was like, all right, we're about to be on this train where there's no Wi-Fi. So I was quick, we used a hotel's Wi-Fi, posted a picture of her, and I just said, please, if you know anything about how to get a kitten from Peru to DC on Avianca and Delta, please, message me. We had, I don't know, dozens or hundreds of messages from people saying, I'm a Delta flight attendant. Here's what you need to do. Or I work for Avianca. Here's the number you need to call. I talked to them already. It was amazing. And that's a very cool thing to have, the ability to, with the click of a button, have so many people wanting to help out. And we were able to do it really only because a lot of the research was done by the people following, and then I was able to go, okay, well, there's the phone number. Once we got back to Wi-Fi, I was able to go, oh my God, all this research been done for us. Here's
phenomenal.
What we need to do.
It's just phenomenal. Yeah. Great feeling. I think it ended up on the Dodo, didn't it? Your story. Yes, it went everywhere, of course, because it's not a normal run of events. But I thought it was just brilliant. Again, growing that audience and bringing more people on board and saying, yeah, I want to get involved. I want to bring a cat back from Peru.
And I've heard so many cool stories of people even since then who have sent me messages saying, oh, I went somewhere international with my family and we helped an animal because they learned how to do it from watching. So that's what it's all about, is learning how to do it from watching other people. I want people to feel inspired to help out. And the biggest impact that Moon Eye's story has had is that, I did a t-shirt of her.
Yes.
And it's, part of the proceeds from that t-shirt, I wanted to go to a rescue in Peru, but it was really hard to find one because, when people go, well, did you hook up with a charitable group? I say, there are no charitable groups in Peru. It's so expensive for people to do that paperwork that there are no charitable groups. But I found this woman who's basically, she's like me, but she's in Peru and she doesn't have a lot of resources. But she's a very, very cool woman her name is Luz, and she rescues kittens, she rescues cats, she finds them home, and she does sterilization projects. So she goes into the marketplaces and helps to TNR the cats there. So I hooked up with her, and what I've been doing is, as people buy that t-shirt, she is telling me projects she wants to do. So for instance, right now I'm helping her work on this project in a marketplace that has over 200 cats. And her goal is to spay and neuter all those cats. And it's only $28 or something for each cat. So she will tell me, okay, I got appointments for this many cats, and then I will send her money to pay for it. And she's been able to do dozens of cats already. She's also been able to replace the termite-eaten door on the building that she does all of her rescue work in. So it's been really cool because, it's not as easy as clicking a donate button because she doesn't even have a website, but it's nice because we're in constant communication. I mean, there's a language barrier, but it's been really fun to navigate, and I actually am learning a lot of Spanish just from trying to do this work with her. And I think vice versa, we really try to understand each other, and she sends me tons of photos and receipts and stuff. It's really been so cool because while we were there, it was oh gosh, there's so many animals, and it felt like there was no hope for them. Imagine. And now I feel like, Moon Eye didn't just get to be rescued herself, but she got to rescue all these other animals because of her story.
So what we need now, we've got the Peruvian Hannah Shaw Kitten Lady. We need the Canadian one. We need them in all the cities. Oh my gosh, wouldn't that be great to be able to take on that moniker? I'm the London Kitten Lady.
Well, there are a lot of people doing this all over the world. So definitely credit to everybody who's doing this. There's an amazing woman that I'm good friends with who actually lives in Vegas named Nikki, and she is another big Instagram account for kittens, and she's going to be at the event with me. I'm really excited about. I mean, there are people all over the country and all over the world who are doing this, you know, some in more visible ways than others. But we still need more. There's a long way to go. And so I try to advocate for people, you know, if you're a cat lover, you know, take it up a notch and become a cat advocate, become a cat activist, you know.
I look forward to meeting her too. We raise a lot of money for the Poppy Foundation here, which is another great foundation. And if they can't be adopted, you know, for certain medical reasons, whatever, you know, they still keep them. I love that. But we help them a great deal. Another person that told me actually to say hello to you today is DQ Quaglioli. Go Cat Go.
Oh, cool.
He's like, oh, make sure you say hey to her. You know, Catlandia is a very small world, he said.
Yeah,
and I said, I will make sure I do. Because again, another cool guy too with the tattoos, and just love every single thing. Now, before we have to end this, which I don't want to end this at all, Hannah, but let's talk about your class in Vegas. And I know you've got other things coming up too, but in particular, the class in Vegas. What can people expect from that class?
Yeah, so on August 3rd, and let me make sure I have my information right. So on August 3rd, which is this Thursday, from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. at the Oquendo Center in Las Vegas, I will be teaching my Saving Kittens Lives class, which is a really fun instructional workshop. It's 2 hours long, and it is packed full of information about everything you need to know to get involved in saving kittens' lives. So I introduce it by talking about kind of issues surrounding kittens and helping people kind of understand and contextualize why we have these issues, and then jump right into, you know, how do you prepare your home? What supplies do you need? How do you assess a kitten and know what age they are, and, you know, how their health is doing, and how do you weigh a kitten? How do you feed them? How do you help them with the bathroom? We talk about, you know, basic medical care. I do some, instructional demos. We watch a lot of videos. And then the last part of it is all talking about sustainability. So that self-care, you know, dealing with compassion fatigue, building community, doing all of the important work that it takes to be able to do this stuff sustainably. And then at the end of all of that, we'll have Best Friends and the Animal Foundation have an opportunity to talk about their work that they're doing and how people can get involved in Vegas specifically. So they'll speak to some of the issues going on, in that city, and how people can get hooked up with fostering so that they can take it beyond just kind of, you know, following online and get involved in having their own kittens that they can save, because guarantee you, any day of the year, there are kittens in Las Vegas that need help.
Yes.
So I hope people will come out. Right now, we have a little over 100 people planning on coming.
Brilliant.
But there are still seats available, so people can go to my website, which is kittenlady.org/events. And if you go on there, there's all the details, how to grab your seat, where it is, all of that.
And it's so inexpensive, Hannah. It's so cheap. Like, everybody should be there.
I try to make it so that it's something that's accessible for everybody to do. We have a really good time. People, you know, generally have a great night of it. I stick around for an hour afterwards so people can ask questions and hang out and, you know, grab a t-shirt, talk to best friends, talk to TAF, like talk to each other, build that community. It's really fun. And then, you know, I'll be heading home for a couple of days, and then I fly right back out to the West Coast. And I go to CatCon.
Which you'll probably see us there too, because I think we're going to plan on going down as well.
Oh, good. Well, CatCon is going to be fun.
Yeah.
CatCon is the biggest cat event of the whole year. And it's not too far for your listeners.
Oh, it's not. It's a 4-hour,
California.
4-hour drive, people.
It's worth the drive. It's a 2-day convention, August 12th and 13th in Pasadena. And it is so fun. And I'm really excited to be part of that too. So a lot of good stuff going on for cats. A lot of ways to get involved. I really hope that people in Las Vegas will, you know, even if you're just kitten curious, just come out. The worst that happens is you get to watch a bunch of cute videos.
And meet some other people that speak the same language, which is animal lover. You know, we all speak that same language no matter where you are in the world, is that we all love animals. There's one thing I did read on your website, or somewhere I read, and I really liked this, and you were snuggles and love. Nothing more healing than snuggles. Honestly, I'm a firm believer that affection is an important part of helping kittens recover. I think they're just just tells you so much about you. Is that, you know, I just feel like all aspects of what you can do for them really does improve their lives. So, as we were saying, you don't have a lot of time to yourself, but what is your idea of the most perfect night in or night out?
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's always the hardest question because, you know, I have a hard time with, you know, relaxing
Not
at
doing.
home. Like I said, I do a lot of work on, to be quite honest, like right now is the busiest time for me, and it's been a lot. So my perfect non-animal related day is kind of like being active and being outside. So I really love, I mean, anytime I can get like on a kayak or go hiking in the mountains or anything that helps me kind of connect with the outdoors and with nature is really, really wonderful for me. But of course, in the spare time I have, if I'm not doing work related to kittens and cats, I still just really like going and doing other animal things. So like, you know, when I was in Austin, I had one day off. I was doing an event in Austin maybe like 2 weeks ago, and I had one day off, and I was like, I know how I want to spend my day, which was hanging out at this bat rescue organization. And like,
I love that.
That was my favorite ideal kind of way to spend the day.
They are
was
cute.
To hang out with orphan bats and
They're
learn
so
about them.
that's so
you know,
cute.
I am who I am. But I'm learning how to chill. Andrew is like very good at, he's a much more like kind of homebody person than I am, and he really likes, you know, being in the home, and you know, he's teaching me how to like watch television. We started watching Seinfeld at night, which I love. I've never seen Seinfeld. And I grew up in New York City, and it's so funny. And I'm like, how is it? Like, I'm 30 years old.
How did I miss
watching
this?
Seinfeld for the first time. So that's kind of fun. We sort of balance each other out because I'm all like, you know, out and about and like, you know, adventure all the time. And he's much more like calm and grounded. So I think, you know, we challenge each other in really healthy ways and help each other find balance.
That's just fantastic. Well, the last thing I'm going to ask you, I promise, I swear, because I could talk to you all night. In one word, describe what these kittens mean to you.
Oh gosh. Well, I think that they represent hope.
Oh,
to
yeah.
me. You know, I think that they represent, because, you know, not only can we show that there is hope for animals by saving them, but when I get a new little kitten and their teeny eyes open for the first time and they're looking into the world, you know, that's an animal that has hope that they're going to get to have a life.
Yeah.
They're going to get to have a whole life and a full life and love and, you know, a chance to grow into these like awesome house cats that we all love. And I see them open their eyes, and it's like, you know, that hope that they have, I try to have for them as well. And I, you know, try to dignify them with the best chance that I possibly can at having that hope met with a forever home.
I think that's the most beautiful way that you could have described what you do and what you do for these kittens and what they represent as well. Absolutely amazing. I am glad I get to see you on Thursday. I must admit, I'm excited. It's been really
great to meet you.
It's been really fantastic. I have to tell you, it's been really fantastic. And tons of our listeners love cats. And I just hope it inspires them. As I say, we're an international show, so we have listeners from everywhere. And I just hope it inspires them to get involved. I know they're going to follow you because I'm going to be sharing everything that you have on social media so that people can follow you. We'll make sure your links go up for your classes. We'll also make sure that people know about CatCon and that you're going to be there as well so that they can get involved and hopefully come and meet you in person and get inspired. And let's give these kittens, it's time for the kittens. It's time for the kittens. It really is, people.
It's high time.
Well, thank you so much for the interview, Hannah. I will see you on Thursday. And
thank you so much.
I'm sure I'm going to know a ton of people there as well. And I'm really glad people are coming together for this. This is just
thank
great.
you for having me. It's been really fun talking to you.
You
I
too.
am so excited to come to Vegas.
Well, we'll be sharing like crazy to try and get as many people as we can there so that that you can help them and they can help each other as well. So thanks so much, Hannah. Have a great evening. And we'll see you Thursday.
See you soon.
Bye, love.
Bye.
Well, everyone, I told you we always bring on the best guests that we know that you're going to love, that you're going to learn from, be inspired by, and that is definitely what Hannah Shaw has done for me today. I'm so excited. I get very excited when we have people on that we think the same way. We believe we can make a difference and are making a difference and inspire people and get them on board. And I just get very excited about that. You know me, I get very giddy, don't I, Jim? I'm like, yes!
Yes, you do.
And you should have seen me walking around Super Zoo last week. Oh my gosh. The products that made sense to me, that fixed a problem. Oh my, I can't tell you how many people walked up and went, yes, I get it. This is brilliant. This is amazing, amazing, amazing. So that's how I feel about the guests that we bring on. And we do have a lot of people that want to come on the show, but they have to match up to all the previous guests. And, I'm always so proud when I say, yeah, we've had this person, this person, this person. This is a great, lineup of amazing guests that we bring on the show. So, here are the links. If you want to follow Kitten Lady, you're going to find her on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Kitten X Lady. Kitten X Lady. Yeah. On YouTube, it's Kitten Lady, and the website is kittenlady.org. That website is full of resources, videos, how-tos, the upcoming classes, just updates, merchandise, you name it. It's all in one place. That's the hub of what Hannah does. And then, of course, follow her on your favorite platforms. And trust me, you are going to love the photography of her boyfriend. And if you want to follow him, I have it written down here. Let me scroll back. You are going to find his work at, I'm scrolling back a long way. I am the Great Went. Just go to Instagram because, you just want to look at the photographs. Oh, they're wonderful. And great photographs are a great part of adoption, increasing those rates of adoption rates by seeing great pictures of these kittens. Oh, it's been a great show. I'm so excited. I'm very excited to see Hannah on Thursday, learn a bunch of stuff, which will relay back to you how great it was. And, of course, meet more of my people in my community. I know there's quite a few people I know going, and we'll try and get as many more as we possibly can to show up. Well, Jim, let's run a quick commercial and then we'll close out like we normally do. So stay right there.
Vegas Rock Dog Radio. Pets, people, pop culture.
Retrievers, Labradors, Goldens are the main breeds that come through our door, but we'll train anything with 4 legs and a tail. My husband and I own a kennel. We train hunting dogs and also have a boarding and grooming business. And our dogs, they're athletes, and we feed a very quality food. You can't get enzymes in a commercial dog food because they cook it at such a high heat that so much important nutrition is just cooked right out of it. But adding Dinovite to their diet has every single dog in my kennel looking better than they have ever looked.
DINOVITE.com.
859-428-1000.
The omega-3 fatty acids,
Flaxseed, zinc, alfalfa,
the digestive enzymes that are cooked out of regular dog food.
Dinovite is nutrition.
If you want the dog to be healthy, you got to feed it something healthy.
DINOVITE.
Dinovite's the bomb.
859-428-1000.
859-428-1000.
Dinovite for life.
DINOVITE.com.
Let's talk pets.
Let's talk pets
On Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
You've been listening to Vegas Rock Dog Radio. Pets, people, pop culture.
Visit Vegas Rock Dog Radio for more information. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And subscribe on iTunes and iHeartRadio. And remember, give your fur babies a big kiss from me, Sam, the queen of rock and roll dogs. You must not rely on the information in this broadcast from our host as an alternative to medical advice from your veterinarian. If you have any specific questions about a medical matter regarding your pets, you should consult your veterinarian or specialist.
Let's Talk Pets, every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.